Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So, the last video I did about Critical K, I got a lot of comments from people who agreed and supported K, telling me, or asking me rather, have you read the case files? Karen, Critical K that is, only states the facts. Okay. So let's talk about number one, what facts are, and well, more specifically, what the facts of Christian's death are. The leading up to Christian's death, the day of his death, what are the facts? Okay. Because these are the facts that are important in determining what happened, right? These facts. Christian was away from home. He was back on his work boat. He had just gotten there a few days prior. Christian and Whitley have been going through a very emotional time in their relationship, like the weeks and months leading up to it. Dylan called Christian while he was away on the workboat and told him that Whitley had been riding around with another guy and was cheating on him. Christian asked Dylan to come and pick him up from that workboat so that he could kick Whitley out and he was done with Whitley, right? This is all facts, right? Christian made up an excuse to get his captain to let him go and do this. He told his captain that he had some personal family issues and that he promised he would be back. Dylan picked Christian up and, according to Dylan, brought him to the apartment. They got there around, I think he said 11. And why did I just say number? What the heck, y'all? Please forgive me. I had a brain fart there. But Dylan went to Christian's bank and attempted to get money out of his account in the ATM, but he didn't have his PIN. And then he went inside and tried to get it out, but he was unable to do so. Dylan called 911 and said, and I quote, "We have a suicide," and then proceeded to give them the wrong address at first. Whitley was inside of the apartment at the time Christian was shot. The investigation of Christian's death from 911 call to wrapping it up was 45 minutes total. The gun's position and the position of his body is quite literally impossible. There were no fingerprints on the gun. Okay. A gun that's surface is well known. I'm sorry, let me put it better. Well known for preserving fingerprints very well, relatively well. They're very easy to get fingerprints off of the type of gun that it is. There are some that the surface doesn't really, get fingerprints well, but his gun specifically was one that preserved them, and you're sure to have it on there, basically. The same gun that Dylan admits in his interview to having at some point during the day and hiding from Christian, he stated, and then giving back to Christian, I don't know why, whatever. But it's also the same gun that is said that Christian used to shoot himself. But it didn't have any fingerprints on it. How is that possible if what is said is true? How is that even a possibility? Because why would innocent non-shooting people why would they need to wipe their fingerprints off? Because Dylan admitted to holding it, and having it and taking it away earlier, his fingerprints would have been on it for sure. And so would Christians. That would have been something to prove that is the truth, right? But they weren't there. Nobody's was there. Did a ghost shoot him? The placing and the amount of gunpowder that was present on Christian is not in alignment with him being on the trigger side, okay? So his hand wouldn't have been on the trigger side, because if it were, there would be more gunpowder. That's a fact, that the amount of gunpowder is not equivalent to the amount that would be there had he fired the shot. That's just, and it actually lines up more so with someone holding a barrel away from them, like pushing it away, like somebody has a gun pointed at you and you try to kind of move the barrel away from you. Maybe grab it out of their hands from the barrel and get it out of your, get it away from pointing at you. Those are just a few of the facts. Now, the gunpowder, whether the gunpowder residue means what I'm saying it means is totally different. That's my interpretation, because the fact of the matter is the amount of gunpowder would have been substantially more if he would have pulled the trigger. If he's killing himself, the amount of gunpowder and the location of it would have differed. That's just a fact. Those are facts. What aren't facts are critical K or Karen's interpretation of text messages sent by Christian to Whitley. That is not a fact. It's a possible factor, but it's not a fact. The fact is that Christian and Whitley were going through a very emotionally strenuous time. And if anything, you would see that he was in an emotional place. That doesn't mean anything specifically, especially doesn't prove anything. But it's how you feel and what you feel they mean, and what she interprets them to meaning, to being, what significance they mean, what weight they hold. But for me and my interpretation of the same thing is that there's no weight to them. And for me, they don't even point toward him really being suicidal. It does definitely show their relationship with each other was toxic in general. But in my opinion, it's not surprising to see. I actually dated a Pisces, which is what Christian is or was before. So I know how they are. They are very emotionally reactive. They are actually the most emotional sign of the zodiac. In fact, they let their emotions get the best of them and say things that they don't mean. And and what he said is not uncommonly said in breakups in general. But from my experience, again, with a Pisces male, that is, the same thing that happened to me when we were breaking up. He threatened the same things. He would do the same things because he said things without thinking them or actually really meaning them. He was just saying it from an emotionally hurt place. It's very common. Do I think that Christian was a perfect human being and that he could have done no wrong? Absolutely not. I mean, none of us are perfect, and there's no reason to try to paint someone as perfect. That's not what I think in any way. Do I think that he was suicidal? And do I think that those messages even mean that? Absolutely not. That's my interpretation of it. It's not a fact, it's an interpretation. You see the difference here? It's an interpretation of the factors, not facts, because this isn't a fact, it's a factor. The facts of his death are the course of events and the end result. These are factors that happened, as well. Now, critical K, what also isn't facts are how you feel about what Christian's family, the messages that they have sent to Whitley and Dylan. Supposedly, there's no proof that it even exists. A lot of what she said, there's no proof of it because it's not in the case file. They were ones that were sent to her. But even so, they aren't facts pertaining to his death. There's no bearing also on the kind of people that they are. It has no bearing on it. They lost someone that they loved. That doesn't change. That's a fact too, that they, no matter how he died, they lost someone they loved dearly. Suicide, murder, they lost him forever. They were and are going through still intense grief and shock, as well as feeling that their loved one didn't receive the justice that he deserves. That, coupled with the circumstances of his death and the surprise of it and the grief and shock of it, is unimaginable kind of pain. And that kind of pain can understandably take people to dark places, very dark places, and make them say and do things out of that grief and anger and frustration that they wouldn't normally do, and that is not a reflection of who they really are. I can tell you right now, and this is just because I can't even imagine. I can only imagine. I know what the trauma and the grief is of losing someone, but losing someone under those circumstances is unimaginable. It really is. That's some pain I never hope to experience. But I would do the same exact thing, and maybe even more. It could possibly push me to seek my own revenge, my own justice for them, Who knows? Because there's no telling how far we can and will go when it comes to that type of raw, deep, and life-changing pain. So this one really gets me. And what isn't a fact is what Ray, his mother, and his family put on his tombstone. That isn't a fact or anyone's business, matter of fact. What in the actual fuck is wrong with people? Nobody has the right to have any type of judgment about what a mother and a family chose to put on their son's tombstone. Like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, what? Who does that? Like, get some manners. Who thinks that they can dictate or decide what's culturally right or what's wrong with what someone chooses and what their possible reason might be for doing so? What business is it of anyone's to break down and judge her for What does it matter? Do you walk around freaking graveyards criticizing tombstone quotes? I don't think you do, but you want to criticize Christian's tombstone and what it says like it's any of your damn business or matters in regards to his death. It doesn't. You know what that is? You know what that's called? That's called trying to pick someone apart, being critical of someone to the max, overly critical, and just trying to nitpick them apart. That's what that is. So apparently, Dylan had more money than Christian in the bank at that time, according to someone that was in defense of Critical K. That's what they said. And that it's just impossible that he was trying to steal the money. Like, did you know that? Did you know that? What the fuck are you talking about? This is the most dumb statement I've ever heard, because if this statement, first of all, isn't a fact, second of all, is something that I wager to say is impossible to even be true, because the main factor that leads me to that conclusion is the fact that Dylan was unaware that he needed a PIN number in order to take money out of Christian's debit card out of the ATM. Who doesn't know that you need a PIN in order to get money out of an ATM? I would assume that it would be someone who didn't have a bank account at all and had never used a debit card before that day. Because there's not a soul that I know that has a bank account and a debit card that doesn't know that you need a PIN number, as well as know that you can't just take another individual's debit card into the bank and be like, hey, I need you to give me some money off of this card. You know, I know this isn't my bank account, and I know I only got this debit card, but like, I know it says Christian Andriaco here, but like, I know I'm dealing Swearingen, but can I like have it? You know, because he totally said I could have it. Like, I promise. He said it. Like, what the hell? That doesn't sound like a man who has ever been in a bank before in his life. Oh, Lord. So I'm going to have to call bullshit on that for sure, for sure. But it would definitely not be a fact either way it went. That's just basically a few examples of what facts are versus what Critical K puts out as facts. Now, you can say, oh, well, I could say Dylan went to the bank, right? And I feel this way and this way about what he did, the activity that he did. I feel this certain way about it. Well, that's my opinion on what that means, right? That's not the fact. The fact is that Dylan went to the ATM, but he didn't have Christian's PIN and couldn't get any money out, right? That's the fact of the matter. How I interpret it is, you know, how I interpret it is my opinion, is not the fact. You see what I mean? The fact isn't what you think it means. It's what happened, and not your opinion of it happening and what that means, right? That's what I thought. Okay. So, with that being said, Critical K has mainly and mostly just provided her interpretation of Christian's state of mind leading up to his death, as well as her interpretation of Ray and his family based on messages sent after his death to Whitley and Dylan, which for her concludes that Ray is delusional and the family is unstable and abusive towards Whitley and Dylan, who she feels are innocent because obviously to her, Christian was suicidal, which, as you can tell, my interpretation of those same things is very, very different. She tells everyone to take their emotions out of it and just look at the facts. Well, guys, do that. Take the text out, take your interpretations of those texts out and what you think that means, and just look at the facts I listed. Or, just go look at the facts. Because those are not the actual facts. That's what happened. Based on those factors and those factors alone, tell us, a gist of what we need to know. And that's that it wasn't investigated properly. That something ain't right. Something ain't right. That's the best way. And, for anyone who supports Critical K and thinks that, she's always right and want to defend her tooth and nail, if you think that her attack on Christian's family, who, again, lost someone they love dearly, either way you land, if you think it was suicide, if you think it was murder, either way, this family has been through pain and they're grieving. They lost someone that they love dearly. And they do not deserve to be picked apart and drug through the mud and berated like she's doing. It's wrong. And if you can't see that, I really pray that anyone who can't see that gains clarity, because I know that you need it. Critical K is not the all-knowing queen bee that can sniff out the truth and crack the case. She's no Sherlock Holmes. She's not Nancy Drew. She's not even Nancy Grace, finding all the clues and shit. In fact, her previous cases that she's covered, which I've seen on her channel, are mainly the Chris Watts case and Sophia Long. She wasn't even right with the first case, which would be Chris Watts. She took the opposing side, her pattern, all three cases. The unpopular side is the team she went for. That's her pattern. And, basically, one just happened to look up for her and she happened to land on the right side that time. Luck of the draw at the best. She is smart and she uses her knowledge and her ability to convince other people and manipulate other people to side and just blindly agree with her, because she has a really good ability of bending and distorting things, distorting facts as in the interpretation of what she feels it means so that she can shift the perception on it and see things her way. It's only really actually been the right choice like that one time. She's kind of predictable, big-headed, self-centered, and yearns for admiration and success, and is clearly willing to do anything she has to, no matter who she has to step on to get it. She admitted how hard it was for her to be friends with females. And that is why she befriended Jennifer. That's because obviously she has trouble with her own femininity, possibly repressed mom issues or some other kind of trauma related to her femininity in her past. That is the source of her need that she has to feed, that she needs to feel powerful and dominant. She said that when her and Jennifer were first friends, that she wanted to be her friend. So she agreed to go with Jennifer to one of Jennifer's friends' house, and that Jennifer asked her to call CPS about her other friend and get the kids taken away because Jennifer said that she had a way with words. And according to Kay, she didn't want to, which I call bullshit on. She didn't want to do it, but she did it, right? Apprehensively. I call bullshit because given everything Kay has ever shown about herself, there is no way that Karen didn't judge that woman just as harshly and go right along, possibly even offering to call, feeling it was her duty to call, like peasant behavior, right? She twisted what really happened to make it seem like she was reluctant and complacent, but Karen, come on now. You not have an opinion? I don't believe it. Mm-mm. I know that her supporters are going to come over here and they're going to comment that I need to get on panel with her and debate her. First of all, she doesn't even know how to debate. She tries to belittle people. But that's not what y'all are really interested in seeing. See, you want to see people that disagree with her be belittled and bullied by her peasants in her room, her servants, whatever her followers are to her. She wants to, y'all want to be able to gang up on her, or not her, gang up on the person who is opposing views, everybody in her, minion squad, belittling this person and making it seem preposterous and dumb. And you know what? No. Critical thinking demands, you know what the fuck critical means, okay? And critical thinking means. And clearly you don't. The kind of people that she attracts are the people who need to feel superior and better than other people, because that's what she needs. And you draw to you what you exude. So it's no surprise to me at all. She thinks she's always right. So in essence, they think she's always right. And that is a little scary because I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I don't even trust myself all the time. And I'll be damned if I ever just put the all-knowing trust on another human being. Nobody higher than God, right? That's all I'm saying. They follow her and blindly just agree and ask you, did you read the case files? Did you? Well, did you? Or are you just listening to Critical K and just like hoping or, just blindly going with her? Feeling confident in the fact that if somebody reads the case file, they'll clearly see that it was suicide. Because that's what Kay said. Kay is a manipulative, fact-bending, for her own narrative bitch. Sorry. But I'm a bitch too. I'm a bitch. She's a bitch. We're all bitches. Yeah. But I am a caring bitch. And she isn't. And that's the difference. She doesn't care about the truth. She doesn't care about the people who pay money to her. She doesn't care about the people that support her. For every person that comes over here and defends her, I just want you to know that she could give a shit less about you. That you mean nothing to her because, in essence, she is the queen and we're all the sorry people. She's just floating by on her sea of right while we're just in the sea of wrong. You know. All right, Karen. All right. And that is the truth as I know it, as I see it, and as it is. So, thank you guys for listening to me and my dismantlement of Critical K's facts. We can all bend and mold facts to our interpretation and change the perception of the facts for other people. But the truth isn't bendable. It's not foldable and it's not breakable. The truth stands up on its own. It don't need any help. And the truth will prevail. No matter who tries to distort it, eventually the truth always wins. Because the truth always comes to light. What's done in the dark always comes to light. Always, always, always. Always. She saw this case as untapped, basically untapped energy, basically. There wasn't a side for Whitley and Dylan. There wasn't an opposing view. It was an untapped market. And it was one that garnered and made a lot of noise. She has been overly aggressive, like trying to get Kendall Ray, Daniel Hallen, and John Lorden to debate her. Like, who the fuck does that? First of all, Kendall Ray, Daniel Hallen, and John Lorden are commendable people. They don't have to be on live. You know what they do? They take the facts of the case and they give them to the person listening, to the people listening, to their audience. They don't put their opinion in it. They don't twist it. They give the facts. And if they do give their opinion, they state it. They don't try to manipulate and persuade people. They're not debaters. And you're not the judge. You're not their boss. You are nowhere near the quality that they are, because they are actually trying to help people. You are not doing that. Not at all. You want to be dominant and superior and prove yourself to yourself and to everybody else. Make sure you're financially secure, move on up, cause a ruckus. Well, it really just shows that you're unstable. It really does. Trying to call them out is pathetic. You realize that you're just a YouTube content creator, right? You realize that they are the same thing. They're not detectives. They're not judges. They're not juries. They're not. They're not. They don't solve cases. You don't solve cases. They cover them. They give the facts to the people that want to hear it. They try to keep the name there, honor them by telling their story. John Lorden donates to every case that he covers. And if there isn't one already, a way for him to do so, he will create one. He is a commendable man. And what is needed? What is needed when dealing with this type of thing? People like you are not the same as people like them. You're about drama. That's what you do. That's what it is. You're dramatic. You want a big show. You want to put on a show. When they make a video, they aren't the center stage of their show. The victims are. The crime that occurred is. You are the center of your own circus. It's not and will never be about the people involved in the cases that you cover. And everybody and the people that need to will see when they need to see it. Because everybody shows their true colors eventually. Every dog has its day, and everybody reaps what they sow. Misery loves company. That's all I got to say. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed me listening to me rant. If you didn't, oh well. You can comment and, say what you want to say. But if you're rude, if you're disrespectful, I wouldn't even bother commenting because it's not going to affect me because I'm good. I can sleep good at night because my conscience is clean. My conscience is clear. And I know that everything I do it with my heart in the right place and my mind on the right thing. Money is never my goal. It's helping the victims. It's helping the story get out and the truth be known. At least telling their story and doing so with my emotions first because they matter. Having lines you won't cross matters. Being respectful to people matters. Honoring the victims matters. Maybe not to someone like you, but that is another reason why you don't belong and don't deserve the platform that you've got. You don't deserve it. It's a shame. It's a waste. You're wasting everything that you've been blessed with in your life, the skills that you've been blessed with. You're very smart. I think that you are. And I think that you could do a lot of great things and flourish, really. I do. But you ain't gonna change. I don't know. You don't care enough to. You don't care about anybody other than yourself. So, up a creek without a paddle, you will be. Remember, as Scott Reich said, there's only two types of people in the world. Those that are humbled and those that are about to be. Just keep a look. Bye.